Cards, kits, and more, all made from loose papers in my paper stash. Hey, it's Beth. Welcome. The Smash Our Stash collaboration is a collaboration I do with some crafty friends, and we focus on using items in our stash that are usually easily hoardable, or items that kind of just get lost and forgotten in our stash. So every month there is a different theme or prompt. There is a playlist in the description box below where you can see all of this month's collaboration participants and the crafty items that they made. This month the theme was loose paper sheets. Like, it could be any type of loose paper, just as long as it's something that didn't come, like, isn't part of a collection. So it could be pattern paper, cardstock, specialty cardstock, anything along those lines. So I made several different types of projects here. I have a lot of loose paper in my stash, and I did some batch making on different things. So I started off with, I also tried to focus on things that I needed to replenish inventory for shows and online. So I started off with some notebooks. I needed to replenish some like prayer type journals. These were really popular last fall, and I ran out and I hadn't had time to make any more. And I actually need to get some more notebooks like this. These are just Dollar Tree notebooks. They're lined. And I took some pattern paper. This is, I think all of the loose paper I used is from Hobby Lobby's, like the Paper Studio, like individual sheets that you can buy. And so that's what I used. One of the sheets, well, not one. I used 4 sheets to cover 4 notebooks, front and back. And then just printed out kind of a prayerful type sentiment to go on the front. And then I had I used the scraps from the notebooks to create a set of cards, and had brought in some of this like kind of deeper red cardstock as my mat. And so I decided to carry that over to the notebooks as well behind my sentiments, and then use some of the cardstock scraps to add some hearts there on the outside and inside. And I haven't done it yet, but I also normally go through and just kind of like randomly stamp some, again, prayerful type sentiments that can be, I don't know, kind of just either get your juices flowing to journal, or just to kind of inspire, whoever's using it. So I don't do a whole lot, but just to kind of add that extra special touch. So I have 4 of these. 3 are the same because I had 3 of that type of paper. And then this one is a little bit different sentiment and different pattern. And like I said, I used the scraps from the notebooks to create a set of 8 cards. So they're all the same with the Walk by Faith sentiment and like same design. I had, obviously, since I had more sheets of the word pattern, that is kind of like my main pattern on most of them, or on all of them actually. And then the cross pattern, I had enough to like make strips across all of the cards. And then used up any leftover scraps on the inside. So that project used 4 sheets of patterned paper. And then next, I took 1 sheet of patterned paper and a sheet of cardstock to see what I could make out of that. So I managed to make 2 Post-it note holders. These are 3x3 inch Post-it notes, and found some sentiments in my stash that worked, I thought were cute for that. I have a mini Post-it note holder, and then there were some strips, and so I just turned those into bookmarks. And instead of my usual yarn tassel, I thought I'd carry on like this really pretty deep kind of royal blue, and had some ribbon that matched that. So used a ribbon tassel, and then took the scraps that I had left and created a little card. So that was 1 sheet of patterned paper. And then I needed to replenish Easter cards. So I looked through my Easter stash, and I had 4 no, maybe 6 sheets of this egg paper, again, from Hobby Lobby. And all of these papers are from Hobby Lobby. The pink polka dot and then the green that is in the background. I had 3 of one type of green and then 1 that was similar color but slightly different pattern. So I still was able to create 4 sets. And then I used my silhouette file to create my sentiment, so that I could just print out, since there's like 24 cards here, that I could just kind of print out a whole bunch of sentiments and punch them. And then I actually used an old Call Me Crafty sheetload of cards. It's April 2020. I used that one to create these sets of cards. And then all in this used 12, no, because I ended up using the scraps. I had scraps of the egg paper left. And so I had like squares and I had like longer strips, like 2.5-inch strips. So I pulled in some green chevron paper from my stash, and I think 2 sheets of those to make the same type of scrap, and then just kind of alternated them so that, you know, one card had the egg strip, the chevron square, one had the chevron strip and the egg square, and then kind of decorated them all up and added scraps on the inside. So these 2 projects together using the scraps, there's more of these. There are 24 of the scrap ones. Used 14 sheets of pattern paper, sorry. So that was a good use of patterned paper. And then I wanted to make some Easter card kits as well. So I have 2 that are packaged up already. They just need the picture like printed and inserted in. And then I have 2 more that are kind of ready to go. But I had 2 sheets of like this Easter words paper, and so I just found some coordinating papers that worked well with that and managed to create, it's a real simple card design. I don't have one over here. When I'm doing kits, a lot of times I cater to like beginner card makers, and so it's going to be like a real simple design, something just kind of like that. But I have 4 kits, and then I had scraps left over, and there's actually a 4th card that I have separate to photograph for my kit pictures. So I ended up with 3 scrap cards as well. But the kits were 5 sheets of patterned paper. So I think all in I used 18, 19, like 24 sheets of patterned paper. And I would love to tell you that that made a dent in my stash, but sadly it did not. There's still a ton of loose sheets. So I could do this like every week for a year using 14 sheets, and probably then I might make a dent. It would be really noticeable. But this, as much as I used, as much as I was able to make, was not noticeable in my stash, unfortunately. So those were all the random projects I decided to make with loose paper. I didn't use specialty paper. I just focused on pattern paper because that is honestly what I have the most of. And I used a mix of 12 by 12 and 8.5 by 11 sheets. Brought in some cardstock. I used up some cardstock too. And got projects done that I need for inventory for various sales outlets. So win-win for me. And again, please be sure to check out that playlist in the description box to see how everybody else used loose sheets and what they made. There's no type of craft that's required. You can make any type of craft as long as you're using that particular month's theme. So it's always fun to see how everybody interprets it and what everybody does with it. So check that out. And as always, I thank you so very much for your time and hope you all have a very crafty day.